All right, everyone. We start off today talking about Canada. Yet again, link in the description, archived, of course. A member of Parliament, one of the Liberals Party, no surprise here, Charlie Angus says that Trump's statements with regards to trying to uh, turn Canada into the 51st state effectively amount to an act of war. This is not true. Um, you are allowed to have your opinions online. The fact that Donald Trump would take to Truth Social or to Twitter to insinuate the annexation of Canada is not in and of itself warmongering. Because number one, it won't happen. Number two, it wouldn't justify a military inclusion. And number three, it's literally just a statement. No military act of any kind was actually made. Now, if the United States fired a couple of rockets across the border, that can be considered an act of war. Absolutely. Technically, we're at war with the Houthis, for example, something that I personally do not really like. I'm not really happy about that. Clear the shipping lanes, yes. Anything beyond that, I'm not a fan of. I am war oppositional. I am more of a pacifist, I suppose, or at least an isolationist. Not really a pacifist. Somebody attacks you, beat the shit out of them. If nobody has attacked you, you have no reason to attack them, in other words. With regards to Canada, it's more of the tariff thing. That is, that Donald Trump is trying to reciprocate the tariffs that have already been levied against our country for decades and to oppose them. The insinuation of, hey, maybe we'll just take over Canada is not a threat of military force. It's a negotiating tactic. And I'm sure that more intelligent members of the Canadian government understand this, and they roll their eyes, even though there's a disproportionate number of exports and imports between our two countries. Canada, for example, for decades, has levied over a 200% tariff on U.S. milk and close to that on most dairy products, yogurt and cheese and things like that. It has levied a 60% tariff on wheat. It has levied a significant tariff on automobiles. The Canadian government, Canadians, you need to understand this. The Canadian government has already been tariffing my country and driving up your prices. Why should we not respond by tariffing the same goods at roughly the same rate to equalize trade? If we can't have free trade, at the very least we can have fair trade. Ultimately, in the end, the goal is to reduce tariffs down to zero or at least as close to zero as possible on all goods. Now, here's one admission, my fellow Americans. Canada is not wrong to tariff these goods because they're trying to protect certain key industries so that the domestic market can grow. Why can't the United States do the same? The Canadians generally aren't doing anything wrong. That's the whole point. Why are we wrong to apply tariffs to you when you're applying tariffs to us? It's just fair. It just makes sense. Why would we continue on with shitty trade? So Canadian milk, for example, can enter the U.S. market, and nobody does a jack shit about it. But U.S. milk can't enter the Canadian market because it becomes prohibitively expensive. Does this make sense for this nation, the one I'm currently sitting in? No, not really. It makes sense for Canada. You're doing the right thing. Your government's actually not wrong. You're protecting those key industries. Why can't we do the same thing? Why are we the bad guy all of a sudden when we try to do this? Do we need another War of 1812 or something like that, where you come and burn the White House to the ground? I'm sure that Antifa will probably do that before you get to it. But it's completely insane. We've had this lopsided trade for decades. So again, you're allowed to apply tariffs very silently. The US government never raised the issue, by the way, until the current administration. And we're supposed to deal with that. But if we levy tariffs, all of a sudden we're evildoers. Donald Trump is evil for applying tariffs, and you're going to turn off the electricity instead of losing a huge amount of money in the process, by the way, and so forth. It makes absolutely no sense. We should have free trade between our two countries. If we truly are brosefs and the US and Canada are pretty close as far as alliances go, wouldn't you think that we could just ease off all the tariffs? Or at least reduce them in some meaningful capacity? I think that would make more sense. Then we can have more free trade. If Canada, for example, can produce wheat more efficiently and at lower cost than US wheat producers, I have no problem with Canadian wheat flooding the market and pricing out American wheat because it's more efficient. It makes more sense. You're making it more efficiently. Same is true for energy, same is true for vehicles, same is true for oil, same is true for everything. Likewise, though, in reciprocity, if the US can produce a product more efficiently and more cheaply and floods the Canadian market, it would be the same thing. Oh, consumers are paying less because a foreign market has moved in. What a sin. What a terrible time for us. Canada is a fully developed country. You have energy resources, lots of them, by the way, plenty of arable land. You grow rice and shit like that. You've got fish. You've got oil. You've got natural gas. You've got all sorts of things up in there in Canada. Compete with the United States then directly. We're not your enemy. Why would you consider this to be an act of war? That makes absolutely no sense. We're going to go to war with you because you made a tweet. I don't think so. I don't think that would be a good idea. I don't think it would be a pragmatic idea. And it makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. But yeah, I mean, if Canada wants to go to war with the United States, it'd be a very, very short war. We might not be able to occupy your country because it's so vast and sparsely populated, but you're not going to be able to use your military or even your militia to invade the United States. Have you seen Appalachia lately? They armed up real well under the Biden administration and not without good reason. So you may want to back off the bellicose rhetoric, as certain pundits would call it. So yeah, link in the description, archived, of course. Um, I don't know. This dude seems like he's mental. He seems like he's literally insane. An act of war. You made a mean tweet. God damn, Donald Trump has declared war against the United States on numerous occasions then. Again, this is nonsense. Trump is referring to tariffs. He's not actually seriously considering invading Canada. Nor would any reasonable person suspect that, nor would they support it. I mean, if you wanted to become the 51st state and you did it by vote, that's fine. I would welcome my Canadian brothers and sisters. But we're not going to invade Canada. Don't worry, that's not actually going to happen. It's not actually the case. That's about all. Peace out.